Hello, I'm Dr. Richard Caldwell, and I've been practicing endocrinology here in Boston for over 4 decades. In that time, I've had the privilege of working with more than 10,000 patients, managing diabetes and prediabetes. Today, I want to share some important insights that might surprise you, not because they contradict good medicine, but because they represent evolving understanding in how we approach blood sugar management, especially for people over 50. Let me start with a story that changed how I practice medicine. About 15 years ago, I had a patient named Margaret Chen, a 67-year-old retired librarian. Margaret was doing everything her previous doctor had recommended, eating low-fat foods, avoiding all sugars, and following what seemed like a very restrictive diet. Yet her blood sugar remained poorly controlled, and she was frustrated and exhausted. When I reviewed Margaret's food diary, I discovered something interesting. While she was avoiding obvious sugars, many of the foods she considered safe were actually causing significant blood sugar spikes. This wasn't Margaret's fault. It was a gap in education that I've seen thousands of times since. What I learned from Margaret, and from decades of clinical practice and research, is that successful blood sugar management isn't just about avoiding sugar, it's about understanding how different foods affect your body, timing your meals appropriately, and working with your body's natural rhythms, rather than against them. The challenge for people over 50 is that our bodies change as we age. Our metabolism slows down, our insulin sensitivity can decrease, and foods that never bothered us before might start affecting our blood sugar differently. Yet most dietary advice treats all adults the same way, regardless of age or individual circumstances. Over the years, I've identified certain patterns in my most successful patients, those who not only achieve good blood sugar control but maintain it long-term while enjoying their food and feeling energetic. These patients often share certain habits and food choices that might surprise you. Let me share what I've learned about 5 commonly recommended foods that can be problematic for blood sugar control in people over 50, and 5 evidence-based strategies that have helped thousands of my patients achieve better outcomes. The first food that often surprises my patients is instant oatmeal. Now I want to be clear, oats themselves are nutritious and can be part of a healthy diet. However, the instant flavored varieties that many people choose for convenience can cause rapid blood sugar spikes. Here's why. During processing, the oat grains are broken down into very small pieces and often combined with added sugars. This processing makes the starches much more rapidly digestible. I remember James Patterson, a 58-year-old accountant, who came to me frustrated that his morning blood sugars were always high despite eating what he thought was a healthy breakfast. James was starting each day with a packet of instant maple and brown sugar oatmeal. When we tested his blood sugar response, we found that this breakfast was causing his levels to spike to over 200 milligrams DL. Within an hour. The solution wasn't to eliminate oats entirely. Instead, I recommended that James switch to steel-cut oats, or old-fashioned rolled oats, prepared without added sugars and combined with protein like nuts or Greek yogurt. The difference was remarkable. His morning blood sugar spikes decreased significantly, and he felt more satisfied throughout the morning. The key principle here is that processing matters tremendously. Whole grains that require more time to digest will have a gentler impact on blood sugar than their processed counterparts. The second food that can be problematic is fruit juice. Even 100% fruit juice without added sugars. I know this might be surprising, especially since fruit juice is often marketed as healthy. The issue is that when fruit is juiced, the fiber is removed or broken down, but the natural sugars remain concentrated. Without fiber to slow absorption, these sugars can cause rapid blood sugar increases. Sarah Williams, a 62-year-old teacher, was drinking a large glass of orange juice every morning because she'd heard it was important to get vitamin C. Sarah couldn't understand why her blood sugars were erratic despite following what she thought was a healthy diet. When we removed the juice and replaced it with an actual orange, her morning blood sugar patterns improved dramatically. The fiber in whole fruit serves as a natural, time-release mechanism for the sugars, allowing for more gradual absorption. Plus, it's much easier to consume large amounts of sugar when it's in liquid form. You might easily drink the juice from 3 oranges, but you'd probably feel full after eating 1 whole orange. The third challenging food is white rice, particularly when eaten in large portions or without other foods to slow its absorption. Rice is a staple for many cultures, and I'm not suggesting anyone needs to eliminate foods that are important to their heritage. However, understanding how to include rice in a way that minimizes blood sugar impact can be helpful. I worked with David Kim, a 55-year-old engineer whose family meals traditionally included large servings of white rice. David's blood sugars would spike significantly after dinner, despite the rest of his meal being relatively balanced. We experimented with several approaches, reducing the portion size of rice, trying brown rice or wild rice alternatives, and changing when he ate the rice during his meal. What worked best for David was eating his vegetables and protein first, then having a smaller portion of rice at the end of the meal. This simple change in eating order, combined with a modest reduction in rice portion size, helped stabilize his post-meal blood sugars, while allowing him to continue enjoying family meals. The fourth food that often causes issues is dried fruit. Many people choose dried fruit as a healthy snack, not realizing that the dehydration process concentrates the sugars significantly. A small box of raisins can contain as much sugar as several fresh grapes, but without the water content that would help you feel full. Patricia Rodriguez, a 64-year-old nurse, was snacking on dried cranberries throughout her shifts, thinking they were a better choice than candy. However, these snacks were causing her blood sugar to spike repeatedly throughout the day. When we replaced the dried cranberries with fresh berries or nuts, Patricia's energy levels became much more stable, and her overall blood sugar control improved. The fifth food that can be problematic is low-fat, flavored yogurt. While yogurt can be an excellent source of protein and probiotics, many commercial varieties contain significant amounts of added sugars to compensate for the removed fat. These added sugars can cause blood sugar spikes, especially when the yogurt is eaten alone as a snack. Robert Thompson, a 59-year-old construction worker, was eating low-fat vanilla yogurt as an afternoon snack, believing it was a healthy choice. When we checked the nutrition label together, we discovered that his healthy snack contained 25 grams of sugar. Switching to plain Greek yogurt with fresh berries not only improved his blood sugar response, but also provided more protein to help him feel satisfied longer. Now let me share 5 evidence-based approaches that have helped thousands of my patients achieve better blood sugar control. The first is incorporating more non-starchy vegetables into every meal. Vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, peppers, and zucchini are high in fiber and nutrients while being very low in carbohydrates. The fiber helps slow the absorption of other carbohydrates in the meal, leading to more gradual blood sugar rises. I recommend that my patients aim to fill half their plate with non-starchy vegetables at lunch and dinner. This isn't just about blood sugar. These foods are also rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support overall health. The second strategy is understanding protein timing and types. Protein has minimal direct impact on blood sugar, but it can help slow the absorption of carbohydrates when eaten together. Additionally, protein helps with satiety, which can prevent overeating and subsequent blood sugar spikes. I've found that patients who include a source of lean protein at each meal, whether it's fish, poultry, eggs, tofu, or legumes, tend to have more stable blood sugar patterns throughout the day. The key is choosing proteins that aren't heavily processed or combined with added sugars or refined carbohydrates. The third approach involves healthy fats, particularly those rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Foods like fatty fish, walnuts, flax seeds, and olive oil can help improve insulin sensitivity over time. These fats also help with meal satisfaction and can slow the absorption of carbohydrates. I remember Maria Gonzalez, a 61-year-old artist who was struggling with afternoon energy crashes. When we added a small amount of nuts or avocado to her lunch, she found that her energy remained much more stable throughout the afternoon, and her pre-dinner blood sugars were more consistent. The fourth strategy is timing and meal spacing. Many of my patients benefit from eating 3 moderate-sized meals per day, rather than grazing throughout the day or eating very large meals. This allows blood sugar to return to baseline between meals and can help maintain insulin sensitivity. For patients who prefer smaller, more frequent meals, I recommend ensuring that each eating occasion includes protein and fiber to minimize blood sugar spikes. The key is consistency. Eating at roughly the same times each day helps your body anticipate and manage blood sugar more effectively. The fifth approach is mindful carbohydrate choices. Rather than eliminating carbohydrates entirely, which isn't sustainable or necessary for most people, I help patients choose carbohydrates that have less impact on blood sugar. This includes foods like quinoa, sweet potatoes, legumes, and whole grains that provide nutrients and fiber along with carbohydrates. Let me share some practical guidelines that I call my golden rules for blood sugar management. These aren't rigid rules that must be followed perfectly, but rather principles that can guide decision-making. First, consider the plate method for meal planning. Aim to fill half your plate with non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 with lean protein, and 1/4 with complex carbohydrates or starchy vegetables. This visual guide helps ensure balanced meals without requiring detailed calorie counting. Second, pay attention to eating order. Some research suggests that eating protein and vegetables before carbohydrates can help minimize blood sugar spikes. While this isn't essential for everyone, many of my patients find it helpful. Third, stay hydrated with water throughout the day. Dehydration can affect blood sugar control, and many people mistake thirst for hunger, leading to unnecessary snacking. Fourth, consider the timing of physical activity. Even light activity, like a 10 to 15-minute walk after meals, can help improve blood sugar control by helping muscles use glucose more effectively. Fifth, prioritize sleep quality. Poor sleep can significantly impact blood sugar control and insulin sensitivity. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. I want to emphasize that these recommendations should complement, not replace, regular medical care. Blood sugar management is highly individual, and what works for one person may not work for another. Factors like medications, other health conditions, physical activity levels, and personal preferences all play important roles. Let me tell you about one of my most successful patients, Helen Morrison, who came to me at age 68 with an A1C of 9.2%. and feeling defeated about her diagnosis. Helen had tried multiple approaches without success and was convinced that good blood sugar control was impossible for her. Working together, we didn't make dramatic changes all at once. Instead, we focused on one small change each month. We started by adding vegetables to meals she was already eating. Then we worked on meal timing. Gradually, we incorporated more protein and adjusted her carbohydrate choices. Over the course of a year, Helen's A1C dropped to 6.8%. She lost 25 pounds without feeling deprived, and most importantly, she felt energetic and optimistic about her health again. Helen's success wasn't due to any single miracle food or dramatic restriction. It was the result of consistent, sustainable changes that worked with her lifestyle and preferences. Another patient, Frank Chun, was a 72-year-old retired teacher who loved cooking for his family. Frank was worried that managing his diabetes would mean giving up the joy he found in preparing and sharing meals. Together, we learned how to modify his favorite recipes to be more blood sugar friendly without sacrificing flavor or cultural significance. We experimented with different cooking methods, ingredient substitutions, and portion adjustments. Frank discovered that he could still enjoy most of his favorite foods by making thoughtful modifications. His blood sugar control improved, but just as importantly, he maintained his enjoyment of cooking and eating with family. These stories illustrate an important principle: successful blood sugar management isn't about deprivation or following a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about understanding how different foods and habits affect your individual blood sugar response and making informed choices that align with your health goals and personal preferences. I've learned that patients are most successful when they understand the why behind recommendations, not just the what. When you understand that fiber helps slow sugar absorption, you can make informed choices about fruits and vegetables. When you understand how processing affects carbohydrate absorption, you can choose grains that work better for your blood sugar. One of the most important lessons from my 4 decades of practice is that sustainable change happens gradually. Patients who try to overhaul their entire diet overnight often struggle to maintain their changes long term. Those who make 1 or 2 modifications at a time, allowing each change to become habit before adding the next, tend to be much more successful. Also want to address some common misconceptions I encounter. First, many people believe they need to eliminate all carbohydrates to manage blood sugar effectively. This isn't true and can actually be counterproductive. Carbohydrates provide energy and many important nutrients. The key is choosing the right types and amounts for your individual needs. Second, some people think that having diabetes or prediabetes means they can never enjoy dessert or special occasion foods again. While these foods should be occasional treats rather than daily staples, they can often be included in a well-managed eating plan with proper planning and portion control. Third, there's a misconception that blood sugar management requires expensive specialty foods or supplements. While some people may benefit from certain supplements under medical supervision, the foundation of good blood sugar control is built on whole, minimally processed foods that are available in any grocery store. I encourage my patients to think of blood sugar management as a skill that improves with practice, rather than a set of restrictions they must follow perfectly. Like any skill, there's a learning curve, and it's normal to have days that go better than others. Regular monitoring, whether through traditional blood glucose meters or continuous glucose monitors for those who use them, can provide valuable feedback about how different foods and activities affect your individual blood sugar response. This information can help you make more informed decisions over time. Working with a registered dietitian who specializes in diabetes can also be incredibly valuable. They can help you develop meal plans that work with your lifestyle, preferences, and cultural background while supporting your blood sugar goals. Remember that blood sugar management is just one aspect of overall health. Regular physical activity, stress management, adequate sleep, and maintaining social connections all contribute to well-being and can indirectly support blood sugar control. As I look back on 4 decades of practice, I'm optimistic about the future of diabetes care. We have better understanding of how to individualize treatment, more tools for monitoring blood sugar, and growing recognition that successful management requires addressing the whole person, not just the numbers. The patients who inspire me most are those who've learned to view their diabetes management as an act of self-care rather than a burden. They've discovered that the habits that support good blood sugar control, eating regular balanced meals, staying active, getting adequate sleep, are the same habits that support overall health and vitality. If you're managing blood sugar challenges, remember that small, consistent changes can lead to significant improvements over time. You don't have to achieve perfect blood sugar control overnight. Each positive choice you make is a step in the right direction. Work with your healthcare team to develop an approach that fits your individual needs, circumstances, and goals. Be patient with yourself as you learn what works best for your body. And remember that managing blood sugar effectively while still enjoying food and life is not only possible, it's the goal. The journey of blood sugar management is highly personal, but you don't have to travel it alone. With the right information, support, and gradual implementation of evidence-based strategies, you can achieve better blood sugar control while maintaining quality of life and the joy that comes from sharing meals with people you care about. Thank you for allowing me to share these insights from my years of practice. Here's to your health and well-being, and to the many satisfying, nourishing meals in your future.